got a t-shirt with bloodstains all over it. Maybe laundry isn't your biggest problem right now.
I remember the day the candle shop burned down. Everybody just stood around and sang happy birthday.
And a security guard came over and said, "You're gonna have to move. You're blocking the fire exit." As though if there was a fire, I wasn't gonna run.
You make love to the right woman, Johnny, is beautiful, beautiful. I mean, the last time I made love to my wife, it was ridiculous. Nothing was happening. I looked at her, I said, "What's the matter? Can't you think of anyone either?"
I never learn, you know, like a waitress will bring my meal. "Hey, enjoy your meal, you too!" But you don't have one, do you? I'm a doofus. If you do eat, enjoy it when you eat it. If you have a break or something later, if you get an opportunity, that's all I'm trying to say. That's all that I'm driving at, really.
Hello, welcome to Comedy Think Tanked, a podcast with Leonard Kimball and Nick Gordon, two comedians who know how to take a drink and have a thought. Sit back, get comfortable, and enjoy. Now, whether they're ready or not, here's your hosts, Leonard and Nick.
Hello and welcome to Comedy Think Tanked podcast. Thank you guys for listening. I am Leonard Kimball with my co-host.
Nick Gordon, that's me.
Co-host is such a hard word. Why do we have co-host?
That's not a hard word.
That's not a hard
co-hosts.
word.
We're co-hosts.
Co-host, yes.
We are co-hosts. Yes, we are.
Co-host. We'll edit that in post.
Yeah, we will. We do so much editing.
You wouldn't believe how much editing we do.
If we just release this, if we release the 10 hours of each episode that actually is recorded, holy shit.
Oh my god.
This is a good episode though. This is a great episode. We interviewed Dennis Price, and yes. I'm very excited about this episode. So I'm happy to be here. It doesn't matter how much editing we need to do. It's great. And we've done a few of these now, so I think we're getting a little better at it.
We are getting a little bit better. I want to thank, again, Doug Birgfeld for advice on editing. Had a really good training session with Mike Gray, who's also a sound engineer. So he showed me some editing tips and software, and so hopefully the listeners will appreciate some changes in the quality of our audio.
Yeah, if they're listening from episode 1 through, then they certainly should. If they're going back in time, they're going to be like, "It's getting worse and worse, isn't it?"
Yeah, don't listen from 5 back to 1. Go start with 1 and then get up to like episode 5, 6, or wherever we are now. That'd be good.
Yeah, we're going to lose track soon.
So speaking of listener feedback, we've gotten hundreds and hundreds of emails and letters and messenger pigeons from people complaining that we don't actually drink on the podcast. It's Comedy Think Tanked, and they're like, what does tank refer to? Oh, tank refers to us drinking beers, but you don't tanked. Drink. Yeah, getting tanked. So what are you gonna do about that?
To respond to the listeners, I think we may have put the cart before the horse. Coming up with the name, because I haven't. I'm almost 3 months now without drinking, and not because I have a problem, but just because I want to be healthier. And I was drinking during the pandemic way too much. So yeah, it's a good feedback. It's good criticism for what we're doing here, because we came up with a great name, Comedy Think Tanked, and even our logo has like beer mugs clinking,
right,
and whatnot. And a lot of our interviews, they've been pretty well shithoused. So,
well, I will admit, so I do have a beer in hand.
Yeah,
and the audience may notice, or maybe, I don't know. Hopefully, this will turn out fine. But this is like the actually first time I've actually had any alcohol while we're recording anything on the podcast.
Yeah. Do we need to? Should we be somehow like not sober when we do this?
Should we be not sober?
Should we find a way to be tanked for these? Is that? I mean,
I don't know. I think like
would the product be worse or better?
I would guess it would be worse.
Yeah.
Because we're probably not going to notice things here and there that we probably should not do or do differently or edit differently, or hey, this is a kind of a stupid conversation, them talking about whether or not they're actually going to drink a beer or not.
Yeah, we sound like a couple of old ladies, don't we?
I know.
Nothing against old ladies, anyone 45 and older, but
I think you made it worse.
Oh, I probably just lowered any chance I have of anyone over the age of 45 ever speaking to me again. No, I don't know. I have no problem with us in the future. We'd have to like work every Friday night though, because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it during the week. I really was having too much to drink during the weekdays.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can understand that. When like you're not leaving home, and like even if you could leave home, bars were barely open or could only let like 4 people in at a time, and you have to stand in opposite corners of the bar while you're drinking. So yeah, it's just not as there's not as much fun, I guess. I mean, things are opening now, but I get figuring out, I got some momentum now and I'm feeling healthier. I might as well do this. I might as well try to see if I can continue to do this.
Try to capitalize on that. But I don't know, whatever. It's at some point where I didn't quit drinking. I just stopped for a little while. So obviously I think we're going to end up at a point where, we're doing a podcast. Oh, I've had a whole bottle of wine. What are we going to do now? And it'll be just fine because it's in the name of the podcast. I think I was setting us up for future inevitabilities where we would probably be doing this on a Friday or Saturday and a few sheets to the wind. So correct.
And I also think that another thing for the audience, a little peek behind the curtain. I also think like as we do more and more episodes, we will actually get more and more comfortable with this process. Like right now, it may not sound it because like the audience is like, wow, he sounds really good on the podcast, but I'm incredibly nervous. And because I can't say the damn name of the podcast. I'm worried about my son coming downstairs because he wants to play on the Xbox. I'm worried about the cat scratching at the door because I have the door closed right now. I'm thinking like, don't touch my fucking keyboard because it goes click, 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 clack all over the microphone, all these sort of things. But later, when we get to like episode 12, I'm gonna be like, yeah, man, hey,
let's do it.
I don't know. I think I'm recording.
I've never done cocaine before, but now's a good time. Oh, Leonard.
It's on my bucket list.
Yeah. Cocaine's not. That's not on your bucket list, is it really?
No, cocaine is not on my bucket list. No.
Okay. Phew. Thank God.
All right. I have a crappy bucket list.
I'm gonna stop Googling Pablo Escobar for you then. What is on your bucket list? People talk about that, especially as they get into their 40s, like we are.
Well, I was thinking about it, and unfortunately, I just realized like a few things I just jotted down on my bucket list. They're all like physical things, like, and now that I'm like, yes, I'm lost some weight, but I'm not sure I can still accomplish almost anything on this list right now. So I've got dunking a basketball on my bucket list, which I think the time has passed for that. I mean,
on a 10-foot hoop.
Oh wait, they're all 10 feet? That's really high, man. They should make those. They should make those shorter.
They start short for little kids, and then they go higher. Like once you get to high school, you're officially at 10-foot hoop. Like probably even middle school too, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Obviously, college, professional ball, that's all 10 foot. But I think as you get into your 40s and whatnot, they should lower the hoops, continue, bring it back down so that way you can dunk with only just like doing a little tippy toe jump.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I got it.
So I'm in the
Alley-oop.
nursing home. I can get I'm in the nursing home. I can get like, what is it, like the little Fisher Price
Yeah,
be a basketball hoop. No,
just slamming it down from your
Just
wheelchair.
I remember coaching my son when he was little, and the hoop was like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 feet off the ground. And I think I can recall thinking, I think I can dunk on this, but worried that I was going to hurt myself. so I didn't even try it. So I've never dunked on anything at all. So my other items I have on my bucket list is to do a backflip.
Mm-hmm.
And I can kind of do a cartwheel. So that's kind of
Oh,
close.
really?
Yeah, I can do a
Oh,
cartwheel.
neat.
Yeah, well, I used to take judo, so I'm used to
Yeah.
like tumbling, but I can't
Yeah.
like a backflip is serious. So it's like, you're committed.
Uh-huh.
I could do a tuck and roll, that sort of stuff. If like someone throws me, I could do like the whole roll over my shoulder blades, slap down, come back up in a cool ninja stance afterwards and everything. I can do that. No problem.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I cannot do any sort of flipping or tumbling or anything like that on purpose. But I have definitely on the ice rink playing hockey and whatnot. I've gone down and all of a sudden landed on my feet and been like, how did I get here? So I think that would be the same thing. Like you'd land and you'd be like, oh, this isn't right. How did I do this?
This isn't right. My knee shouldn't point that way. What's
Yeah,
going on?
I feel dizzy, but not spinning dizzy, like up and down around dizzy. Like,
Yeah.
this is really strange.
My last bucket list item is also physical. It's to knock someone out. So I've taken martial arts before, and I thought like, you hit somebody right in the chin or the jaw or right in the side of the neck, and and they'll drop if you hit them properly. So it's not like I'm going around trying to punch people out, in the Hannaford. Just to be like, sorry guys, bucket list. Come here for a second.
Bucket list.
Yeah, I'd like to actually like maybe take a boxing class or take like an over 47 MMA class.
What if we got some boxing gloves and headgear and did a comedy think tank promotional event where you and I boxed each other?
Oh, that would be cool.
What a fundraiser that
I would
be.
kick your ass.
You think so, do you?
Yeah, man.
Hey, I was.
Wait a minute. Wait, are you gonna put like a hockey jersey on me and pull the shirt over my head? And
No. I think I
Okay.
would just unleash 41 years of anger on you. I don't think we should really fight each other, but it'd be interesting to see if who has. I took karate as a kid as well. I quit when I was 14. I was like a year away from being a black belt.
Oh well, shit! You actually
yeah.
might beat me.
I kick myself now, but not very well.
Boom. So my big thing when I was taking martial arts was like I wasn't very good at punching or kicking people, but if we got close enough, I would start grappling because I did high school wrestling. So I could get to the ground and I could just pin people. So I was taking judo. I was a white belt and I couldn't properly throw a brown belt, but if we got to the ground, I could pin him. I could just get him in a cradle and pin him and stuff like that. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I've never knocked out a person, but I have almost knocked myself out one time. So I was
Please tell. Please do tell.
So I used to take jujitsu from this guy, and so he taught us about like these sort of pressure points or nerve points in the side of your neck and stuff like that. And so like if this nerve gets hit, and like it sends a signal to your brain that like you've had some dangerous drop in blood pressure, and your brain goes, oh holy shit, we got to do something. We got to reset your body right now to for self-preservation or whatever. Yeah. And so I was like putting on a shirt. I was putting on like a dress shirt, and the wrist was buttoned as I was putting my hand through. And so
as they usually are.
Yes. No. I usually unbutton the wrist as I take the shirt off. But for some reason, I the wrist was buttoned. And so I'm trying to put my hand through the sleeve with it buttoned. And so I'm grabbing on top of the sleeve with my other hand. I'm pulling to get my hand through. And as I'm pulling, my hand slips off my forearm and whack, I hit myself in the side of the neck. And then and I just drop. I drop like a sack of potatoes. It's like my knees buckle and I grab onto the bed and I'm like, oh my God, I just knocked myself out. So the next day in class, I'm like, John, that shit really works. He's like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. We've taught you to be very dangerous. We were hoping you'd use it on someone else in self-defense.
Yeah, we're
not in your bedroom while you're getting ready to go out to dinner with your wife. honey, we can't go to dinner. I have to go to the hospital. I've just knocked myself out. We were. It's just Valentine's Day, Leonard. We want to go to dinner. I want to go to dinner. It's a special occasion. It's our anniversary. You're not getting out of it that easy.
It's like I'm gonna put on my other shirt.
Yeah. Is that what you call a numchuck?
Oh no.
No? Oh, that was bad.
That's bad.
I just ruined the podcast.
So let's bring the podcast back up.
Yeah, because we'll talk about knockout punches. Dennis Price, our guest today, like that guy is, if comedy is war, and that guy he's a warrior. Like he is the undefeated champion of knockout punches in comedy between stand up and improv. Like I don't even know. Like he's just the funniest person. Maybe not the funniest, but he's very funny, and he has these knockout punch comedy moments when you're with him. Like, we watched him one time do stand up, right, and he put his foot up on the wall. He was like humping the wall. I don't even remember now, but it was people were rolling, and he was just doing like a guest 5-minute spot at the beginning of a stand up show, and he's murdering like he's been a headliner at Carnegie Hall for 20 years. It was incredible.
No, he's great. Mm-hmm. And he's so humble too. Like, and during the interview, I told him how much in awe I am of his improv skills. And I called him a master of improv. And he's like, no one ever masters this. But it's amazing to see he can just be in any situation. I mean, on stage and just be like, oh, okay, this is the situation I have. Great. All right. I'm this person doing this thing. And there we go. Yeah. Here we go. And I got to sing a song. Yeah, of course I'll sing a song. Here we go.
Yeah. his brain, just goes to the funny. He finds whatever it is in that moment. He can act anything out. He can do voices. He's pretty incredible. And it was a lot of fun to talk to him and get his thoughts out in some form of interview.
Yeah. In a spectacularly well edited interview. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yes.
So without further ado, everyone, Dennis Price.
Thank you.
Hello, Dennis Price. How are you?
I am very good. How are you? I hope it's not too loud and you can hear me good and clear.
We can hear you pretty clear.
Definitely.
It looks like it's foggy in your basement for some.
Very foggy down here. It's at 10 a.m. fog. Yeah. But I think it's 11, so that's why it's even weirder. But yes, it's a beautiful time to be in my basement.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sweet.
Thank you very much for joining us. I've done some comedy with you, and I've taken classes with you, and I was like, oh, Dennis would be a fantastic person to interview. Because so one of the things, so when you first joined the Zoom room, it reminded me of like what I told somebody about you. Is like, you always seem so happy. It's like you have it's like yes. I can't picture Dennis being mad about anything. Like even when like we were in the improv class and someone just sort of fucked up and you're just like, okay, you have this big smile on your face. Okay, what's a different choice we could have done?
Well, yes. It's like if we're talking about comedy, I feel like, I feel like joy will always win. And no matter how miserable you are, if you found a way to bring joy in. So like there are days where I'm like, oh, my Lord, I can't believe I have to do this. But, it's also like the Joe DiMaggio quote. that I might be having a bad day, but this might be the first time somebody's taken a class with me, or first time seeing me work or be on stage. And so there has to be this, especially in our business, I think you have to be a little bit, willing to meet people, because you're going to be at a club in Litchfield, Maine, and you're going to end up in Portland sometime. You know what I mean? So you have to be willing to kind of adjust. And so I'm generally pretty happy, I think. But I mean, there's things that make me angry. I think, just intolerance and stupidity. Those things make me angry.
And even so, and you just had a big smile. Yeah, I'm angry right now. I have a big
know.
Smile.
Yes, yes. I feel I have boundless rage. But I just feel like there's so much terrible shit going on in the world generally. Just if you can just kind of talk to people, personal relationships, I find are generally more important than most anything.
True, very true.
Do you do comedy just to get yourself through the day, you think?
No, I do comedy as a way of sort of occupying the different parts of my brain. Like I feel like sometimes life is like like I used to hate it when people say like, oh, you're always on stage. I used to hear all the time, and I think that made me angry, because it's sort of, to me, it implied that there's nothing real. You don't have a real personal moment because you feel like you're always in front of a crowd. And as I got older, I started to realize that I'm not always on stage. I'm just interesting. I just am interesting to hear, and people are drawn to that. And I say that not, I don't want to sound like an arrogant asshole, but it's like, as well as I do, there are people who, when they speak, they are drawn, and that's a power and it's a curse, because sometimes you just want to get the fuck out of someplace, but everybody's like, hey, how are you? Let's talk about that. And the other times you're like, oh my God, I feed on this, and I think comedians understand. It's kind of like, if I'm using this term correctly, it's like the Occam's razor, right? Like either way, it's like you do comedy.
Timing.
Two poodles. You do comedy so that you can share your opinion. You do comedy so you can share your opinion, get your thoughts out there, right?
Yeah,
and then but sometimes it's just like, I don't want to talk to any fucking body. I just want to go home as soon as the show's over. You know what I mean? So it's like this weird thing. So do I do comedy to get through the day? No, I think the day is comedy.
Okay.
Hey, yeah.
I think living day to day is like, there's 1,000 different things that are hilarious, and it's just like, man, what a world.
Yeah, you got to look to the funny, because if you don't, you get depressed.
Attitude is a choice.
Right quick. Yeah.
Attitude is a choice. You make a choice. Every time you are pissed off or you're happy, it's like, so that's also part of it too. It's like you feel like the day is, life's going to come to you. You know what I mean? If you just wait and let it come to you, let it wash over you, you're like, oh, that's an interesting thing that, I wonder if anybody noticed that.
Right. And if you're the one to bring it, out and you get the laughs, you get the benefit of that.
Right. Absolutely.
From two different perspectives.
And I think that part of that is natural for comedians. You know what I mean? Comedians, I think, naturally, they're empathetic, even though like some comedian shtick is to like hate everything. They still have to be sensitive enough to talk about the things they hate.
Right.
So the joy of things, I think, also can be explored. When you think about how great things are. Joyful comics like early Howie Mandel, when he would like, no way, like back then when he wasn't hosting the box, the briefcase show. And then like, I think about Yakov Smirnoff, who made a career like, everything is great. And it was just like this, it was such an overload of joy that you were like, man, what's he going to say next? It's just.
And they're sometimes talking about bad things and treating them as great things. And
Yes.
Yep. Hey, it's like trying to find something funny to say about your dogs barking in the background.
The dogs are sons of fucking bitches. It's like I'm actually dog sitting right now too. So I have 3 animals in the house. I've got, okay, if you do that math, that's 12 paws. That's 16 feet if you count us. And my wife is still wondering why it's sand. Why is there sand in the kitchen?
I don't
I
know.
understand. What are you doing?
We don't live near the beach.
I'm like, I get it.
Bring the beach to us.
I know. Fucking right.
I have one cat, and she doesn't even go outside, but yet there's still dirt everywhere. I don't know how it's possible.
That
drives me crazy.
It's the cat's ass.
Yes, I hate animals' anuses.
So yeah, that's what I think about, like looking through the day in comedy and things like that. What do you choose to explore? And sometimes you choose to explore certain subjects, and I think you can only get so far, right? But how, there's it's the end of the spectrum. There's a lot of ways to say you hate something, and there's a lot of ways to say you love something.
Right. No, good point. Very good point.
What do you choose?
Yeah. How about that new car you got? Do you love that or do you hate it?
Oh, the fucking beef wagon, baby. Hop on in my beef wagon. It's sexy. It is it is simple and it is efficient. Prior to that I drove a 2005 Ford F-150 that got like 20 miles to the gallon. So whereas I felt, but it was only a 2-wheel drive and it was a stick shift. So it was kind of like a Pepe car. You know what I mean? You understand that terminology.
Yeah.
So but I didn't retire it. I didn't trade it in. So I kept it. But it has 180,000 miles on it.
Ooh.
And I was like, I never want to buy a regular car again because I think that's stupid. So I was like, what kind of hybrid do I want? And I don't like Toyotas. I think they're slushy. That's all I'm going to say. I don't like Hyundai because I don't find them aesthetically pleasing. But I enjoy a Kia, which is essentially like Hyundai's little brother. And it follows a pattern. If what we're doing here is talking, I can tell you this. I like the underdog. I always try to go for the underdog. So I like the Kia. So I bought this Kia Niro, right? Like,
That's a real name.
I'm not quite sure what it's man car. I don't know gender. If we're still gendering automobiles, but this would, if we were doing that, it would not be near the blue. If that's still a thing we do. But it's fantastic. I get 48 miles to the gallon. I get 500 miles to the tank.
That's really good. Yeah.
No shit.
Can't beat that.
Why would you like anything else? Any other kind of automobile? It's just like a decoration. It's like, well, this decoration has a little bow tie on it, and this decoration says Toyota. It's like, who cares? If you don't have the most scientifically advanced car, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So I'm like, get a Tesla. Once we're all driving electric cars, it'll be like, what were we thinking? What were we thinking?
What was going on?
But then again, I'm a sort of just a wild earth-loving hippie in training, I guess. I have my hybrid, but I still use paper plates. So
be still my heart. Oh,
you don't do paper plates.
I tried not to use paper towels. So it's what the fuck am I doing?
I don't use toilet paper. I just sort of air. You
use the 3 shells? You use the 3 shells? Oh my God. I don't want a bidet. I'll tell you, if we're talking butt stuff, I don't want a big spray. Don't do that. I like a flushable wipe, but I don't want a fatberg. So I don't really flush the wipes anymore. But I like a clean bottom, but I'm not using a bidet. I'm using a wipe, some sort of dissolvable kelp thing. Can we develop that?
It's not a bad idea.
Of seaweed next to the toilet.
Couldn't it just die? It's strong enough to last for like 1 wipe, and then it just disintegrates. It's just like poof.
I think that's what kale chips are, right?
That's exactly. I mean, they make a golf ball out of lobster shells that you can hit into the ocean and hit safely. Are we not there? We're not there yet?
I think we are, but someone's making a lot of money the other way. So
come on, NASA, get on that.
NASA.
Get on that, NASA. We got NASA in Maine now anyway, so
that's right. Really?
Yeah. So you guys had a show last night. Congratulations. I guess it went well. You had people there. I was going to come, but my wife didn't want to go a single place.
She didn't miss much.
I told her that. No, I'm kidding. Because she's an actual teacher. She does stuff. So she was pretty tired. And it was rainy. My God, it was crazy. I was in Martin's yesterday, and it was like thundering and lightning.
Yeah, it started off crazy raining. We thought people weren't going to show up, but it just stayed dark and foggy. But we still had a pretty good turnout. Everyone who we expected showed up.
Do you like doing the shows at the hotel?
Yeah, that's a really nice venue. It's a really big room. So as long as we need to space out tables, we can space out tables and be safe, and everyone's wearing masks. And
is it Amy Griswold who does that there?
I don't know that name.
Okay.
They have a new event coordinator we just started working with.
Well, I think it's a great deal. It's just there's got to be a comedy theater somewhere in this fucking region. And I'm dying to open it. Like, I want to open something like in Hollowell or Augusta and just have it be, a comedy club. I'm tired of doing fucking bar prov and bar stand-up. Like, blah, I want a club. I want a fucking club.
Yeah, well, when Nick and I opened the punch hole,
please, please, Dr. Yuck Yuck's punch hole.
I think if we got enough people together, we might be able to get the down payment.
Right. Let's see, a bunch of part-time comedians.
Yeah,
what could go wrong with this investment opportunity? I'm sure, we'll pay you back when people start coming to the shows. Well, then we'll never pay you back, sir.
There's 45 people on the lease.
Yeah, exactly. 40 of whom are not even in the state because we had to call people up. Like, listen, Mom, I think it's really good. You trust me, really? If you trust me. So I'm like, I'm just trying. But now that I run Cumston Hall, we're going to do some comedy stuff there. And I'll be in touch with you guys about how we get that going and stuff.
That's a great opportunity and a great venue. Unfortunately, it's in a very small town. And kind of hard to get to for some people that have never been there. But once you get there, holy shit, what a great place, huh?
Yeah, and I'm working on that. I'm working on making it easier to know how to fucking get there. So, I promise you. You trust me.
They have MapQuest now.
Yeah, no shit. GPS that. Even in my fucking Nero, they got the old Apple CarPlay. Plug that in there, baby. But yeah, it's good. I like it.
You're the president of the Friends of Cumston Hall.
Yep. And I'm the caretaker of the hall. So I kind of feel two roles now.
What does that entail?
So the caretaker of the hall does stuff like, I am in charge of ordering toilet paper. Okay. I schedule the building. So the schedule comes through me. I am the liaison to the trustees. So Leonard, I'll just tell you now, I think that, you'll never have to work something through the theater at Monmouth ever again, because all you'll have to do is say, Dennis, I want to do a show. And if you choose to have the theater at Monmouth benefit from your, gate proceeds, then fantastic. But that's sort of what they're trying to do with the hall. Make it be less about what's the theater at Monmouth going to plan next? And just be like, we need to do stuff and let's go. Because I think they missed that. They missed having someone there. Buddy was basically floating to all these buildings and not, focused on one thing. So I'm trying to do more of that.
I have heard the name Buddy floated around. So for our listeners who may not know, I was on the board at Theater at Monmouth for a few years, working with Don McAndrews there. And that was a fun time. It was hard to understand, what's the difference between the theater at Monmouth and Cumston Hall.
Oh, buddy, we go through this all the time. Okay. And that's part of why I got hired. In fact, just recently we managed to get it so that the theater at Monmouth listing on Google is actually properly listed as a part of Cumston Hall.
Oh, so that's why I got lost last time on my GPS.
Exactly right. Exactly right. What it's just people, and that's a common misconception, because when you're called theater at Monmouth and you drive to Cumston Hall and you go to the theater, guess what it seems like? But really, Cumston Hall is the host of the theater at Monmouth, the Cumston Library, Monmouth Academy Drama, Monmouth Community Players. And so it's just a venue that's trying to up and coming, and there'll be comedy there too.
Yeah, I was explaining it to Nick before we got on with you, that the theater at Monmouth is the company, or the organization, I guess.
Yes, the theater at Monmouth is a private organization.
Yeah. You mentioned that the library there, and like, oh my God, but my kids love that little library. Like,
it's an amazing library.
Yeah, we go there for plays, and I gotta drag them out of the library because the play is starting. Like, let's go upstairs. Come on.
Yeah.
Really
It's really a special place. And in my time there, the whole building's going to be wired for internet. We have fiber optic internet coming. So the Opera Hall will have connectivity. The Caucus Hall will have connectivity, and we're going to put some stuff outside.
You said Caucus Hall.
Caucus Hall. Oh, please. Beautiful Cumston Hall, the Caucus Hall, Harry Cockring. It's like I've heard them all. I've heard everyone. Oh, God.
Are you guys are you making any efforts to change the name?
That's right. Well, if Pepsi wanted to give us $1 million. Hello, Pepsi. Pepsi, Cumston Hall. Perfect. No, we basically, it's sort of the thing. If you haven't called it Cumston Hall, you haven't lived in Monmouth or been associated with Monmouth. So, there's all kinds of innuendo. It's a 70-foot phallus that's on the right-hand side of it. So is, there's that. I don't know if you've seen inside, but all the naked little cherubs floating around. It's a paradise of pervasive activity. And that's what we're trying to get more of. So.
Excellent.
Nice.
It
could be a strip club too, I guess. Then.
Well, there's some town things that we got to work on. I'm trying to get them to just simply serve alcohol, but that seems like how can I say it? Like a good example: slaying a dragon.
Yep,
that's how it's like. It's like finding a mythical dragon and having to kill it.
And then having to kill it, yeah.
Getting them to serve alcohol or getting them to turn into a strip club?
Both, it turns out. Because
a dragon.
I think Cochrane's Cuties sounds good. It's alliterative. Anywho, no, the idea is because it's a town building. So the town owns it. So then if you serve booze, it's like, oh, so you're drinking on town property? And it's like, oh, sweet God. So then I'm like, what do we do? And so I'm trying to figure out ways that we can work with the town to creatively solve the problem and offer the public what we know they want: mind-numbing alcohol.
I hope we're not creating any issues by talking about it in a public forum like this.
Well, the dozens of people who will hear this podcast... I'm kidding. It'll be heard. But listen, this is it. I'd say the same thing. I'm being facetious. I love my job. I love that building. And the one thing I'm trying to do is talk more about it, take more pictures of it, get people out there, have more things happen, make sure it's not dormant. It's not a museum. It's not a monolith. It's best when people are in it. Yeah. So,
we've been there a few times. It's an amazing place. So it really
will never
be utilized.
It'll never fail. It'll never fail because people love it. It is unique and one of a kind, and it is publicly owned. So the library will be there forever, stuff like that. So
excellent. Nice. So you personally, let's talk, since this is a comedy podcast and we want to talk comedy specifically.
Make sure you edit that. Just edit it out.
Just take all that shit out.
Jesus, just get to the good shit. We don't need to hear an hour and a half of me talking.
Well, that's the whole point of having you on, is to hear you talking.
Oh shit. Okay,
we love the sound of your voice.
Me too.
Where do you come from? Where do you hail from originally?
Yes. Okay. So speaking of Cumston Hall, I am from Blacksburg, Virginia. Go Hokies. Blacksburg, Virginia is in the southwestern part of the state of Virginia. I grew up in Blacksburg, and I went to Virginia Tech in Blacksburg, so I was a townie. And in 1998, I auditioned in Boston, Massachusetts at the New England Theater Conference, which was this giant audition, 200 people in the room. You got 2 minutes to do something. Wow. And so I basically went through and I auditioned, and I got called back by some places, and this little theater in Monmouth, Maine called me back, Theater at Monmouth, and this was 1998. Wow. So I got a couple other callbacks, met with people, but I didn't hear anything on the phone, and so I eventually called, and I said, hey, I'm not doing anything this summer. If you want to, I'm interested in the performing arts. And so he was like, okay, let me take a look at your stuff. I'll call you later. And so I get home. By the time I drove from school to home, I was ready. And this was back in the days of answering machines.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So, right. And so I checked my machine, and it was the Theater at Monmouth. They wanted me to be an intern. Now, keep in mind, I was 20 years old. I was a junior in college, and I would be making $50 a week before taxes.
Cha-ching.
So,
baby.
So here's the other part about it. Now, it's a great story. I went off of the form that I got at the audition that said you had to be there by June 1st. And so I was flying. I didn't have a car that I could drive all the way up there. And so I went and I basically booked my airplane ticket for the 1st of June through, the end date, which is what they gave me. Well, I call this guy, and he runs the theater, and I'm like, hi, yes, I'll be there on June 1st. And he's like, well, that's dumb. You're not supposed to be here till the 7th. And I was like, but sir. No. And he was like, well, see if you can get it changed. And I was like, okay. So first of all, I was like, who is this guy? Snarf. And then I was like, I'll call the airline. And so I called the airline, and they're like, it's $150. So I called back, and I'm like, I can't do it. And he goes, all right, well, we'll find something for you to do, you goober. And so that was I was like, this is where I belong. I love this person. And sure enough, when I got here, his name is David Greenham. And I would say that probably Dave Greenham is one of the reasons why I am in Maine and have my life here, for sure. Wow. Because he ran the theater at Monmouth. So if you don't know Dave, he is now the executive director of the Maine Arts Commission, among other sort of various and sundry things.
It's funny how one little decision, one little fateful moment changes everything in your life.
Yeah,
it's
buddy.
It's so crazy.
That summer, when I was doing summer theater, I was, hanging out with a girl, and her friend dropped her off because she didn't drive. And I remember the person I was hanging out with, she was walking up the steps, and I look over at her driver, and I'm like, man, she's beautiful. And she gets inside, and I was like, who is that? And she's like, oh, that's my friend. I go, well, tell her to come hang out. And now I'm married to her.
Oh, wow.
So that was the first time I met my wife, was in 1998 for like a split second. But I remember like, my God, that woman looks like a Scandinavian voluptuous princess.
In Maine? Really?
Yeah, and now she's Mrs. Price.
That's sucker born every minute.
Oh, thank God. Thank you, Jesus.
Right?
Thank you.
What if you hadn't said anything, though? Like, what if you hadn't called that guy back to come up to Maine and you hadn't said anything to the girl you were hanging out with? I mean,
yeah, buddy, I think about that all the time. I mean, my life was made in Maine basically from one summer.
Mm-hmm.
One summer I made my life in Maine. Hey.
Right.
Hey, no, don't. Sorry.
Are you going to dog sit again?
Not when I'm doing a damn podcast. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Did you stay?
Wilbur.
Wilbur? What a name.
His mother, Charlotte.
Jesus.
Charlotte
and Wilbur. Will, hush. I'm trying to do a podcast for Nick and Leonard. God. Sorry. I am so sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Edit that somehow so it sounds like, this
none
week
of this is actually...
our guest, Dennis Price. I'm trying to do a podcast
In all honesty, it would be an edit point if you weren't so damn funny about it. So,
Right.
Damn it. So
Half
how
hour
I
in,
got
we got
here.
our first laugh.
That's how I got here, 1998. 1998. Now, here's the addendum to the story. I'm sorry. But the addendum to the story is that summer, the master electrician of the theater was almost electrocuted, which is bad.
Yeah, usually.
And this happened 2 days before we were to open the season. And like a military operation that was around the clock without stop, the theater workers and me and we all came together. We rewired every light, every fixture, every cable. We installed a brand new lighting system, everything. We were still rehearsing, running our lines while we were going over things. And we opened without any problem. And that kind of crucible, you want to talk about like fate. It was like, that did a lot for me. Like, my God, this place is magical. What is happening?
Yeah.
Here? And so that's why I love this place.
Interesting. That's a great story.
Thanks, man.
I mean,
it's the truth, and I love Maine, and I love comedy in Maine. I love like talking to you guys. Sometimes I feel like, like I want to do more, but I also, it's like I do so much that I don't want to do a whole lot of things kind of shitty. I'd like to do like 3 or 4 things well.
Right.
And like I've done some River Comics stand-up shows and stuff like that, and I like stand-up, but I would say my heart probably will always be with improv. And I try to do like, I would say probably, and I think Leonard saw this, like I did a set at the Craft Brew Underground that I felt probably was the first time I felt like really pure in terms of like pure, like it hit a golf shot or like just something where it was just like it was like yes,
yeah. The ball just like had this perfect arch, and it just like swishes into the hole.
Yeah,
like,
and it was just like wow, that was amazing. And I had one of those before all the pandemic stuff, and it was like wow, that's a great feeling, and I want to get more of that. But I'll tell you, I just haven't been ready to do shows yet.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like I've done improv shows in Zoom. I've done a few private improv shows. But I'll tell you, for me, and maybe you guys can talk about this because you've been there. I want to go be a part of an audience again before I get up in front of an audience again. Does that make sense?
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to see how it's gonna, how the group atmosphere is gonna feel, and how safe you're gonna feel, and so we have been there, and I feel like it is a safe space for the most part. There are some issues that still need to be worked out amongst people. Unfortunately, people come from different backgrounds and have different beliefs on things, and in order to get through a show, you need to all come together as one and kind of play by the rules. And
well, that's the feeling I have is, for me, the live performance of any type, but especially comedy, is such an intimate thing, right? You are getting these disparate humans to try to laugh at the same thing. And that has to be a collective experience where everyone's on board. And if you have somebody who doesn't want to wear a mask and be at my show and have it be the elephant in the room and take focus away from my work, then I don't want to be a part of that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying that's not for me. I just don't want to do that. And until we're back to a place where we don't have to worry about this person's mask and this person isn't, blah, 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 then you're going to deal with that. And it's like a heckler. It's basically like a morality heckler. Yeah. If you have to think about it where it's like what you want to do is you're trying to make this whole public thing about your deal. And I've not done this for a fucking year. And you want to make this like your little thing. It's like, this is my livelihood, man. So I couldn't mess around with that.
It's funny you say that. We recently encountered that exact scenario, and it was it ended all right, but at the same time, it was one of those situations that you're just standing there going, like, I cannot believe this is what we have to deal with right now.
It's like, wom, 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 wom. It's
Yep.
just there. It's always there.
It was like the first time ever I've had to kick somebody out of a show. Like it was just it was amazing.
And shouldn't you be so excited that you're at the show?
Yeah.
Like don't like shouldn't that be like basic, like number one?
Yeah,
Number
after a
one is
year,
I'm out
you're
with
out.
people.
Yep, you're getting a beer
that's-
served to you. Like,
And that's part of it, right? Exactly. It's like that's part of it. It's like that's part of the joy. It's like that's a choice, and what you're doing is you're making a choice that then everybody else has to like deal with, you know?
right.
Everybody else. So it's like I'm not going to change. I want the world to change. It's like think about this from a comedian standpoint, right? It's like a comedian telling the worst fucking joke over and over and continuously complaining about how stupid the audience is. It's like, buddy, hey, buddy, okay, we get it, but it ain't the audience. Change yourself. You know what I mean? Change yourself. Be willing to change yourself.
Yeah.
And that to me that's like the basis of comedy.
It takes a
Adjustment.
tiny bit of self-reflection and adjustment. Yeah, just like 1 5-second little thing of saying like, oh, hold on a second, maybe I'm wrong. Yeah.
Oh my God!
it's
For some folks,
simplistic.
it's impossible. Impossible.
can't do
And I
it.
try to do that.
Yep. Yeah, in all aspects of life. Like maybe I'm doing this just a little bit wrong. Maybe what can
Well,
I
that's
do
just
to
it. I mean, I hate to fucking quote John Mayer, but you're waiting on the world to change while you're staying the same. Waiting on the world to change. Everyone waiting. But you know what I'm saying? You know, it's like, what the fuck? Hey,
Oh, yeah, the same mug.
Oh, same mug. I get the handle.
You are
Oh,
my
yeah.
Yeti buddy.
These are good mugs.
But yeah, it's like I think that's a great comedy lesson. Is you know it's if you're unwilling to change, then you're unwilling to be successful.
Right. Boom. There you go. 100%. 100%. So getting back to your origins here in the state of Maine. I'm the only actual Mainer in the room, I guess. So that's interesting.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Leonard's from Chicago. As folks
That's
know.
right.
Did you
Chicago,
come to-
Illinois, Wacker
That's right.
State. Tell me how to get the Wacker in State. So that was what happened. So I can follow this rabbit hole down here. I basically moved. I lived in Chicago for 3 years. I did comedy and improv at Second City, and I took classes at Improv Olympic and the Playground, all these different places. But my father was sick. My companies kept moving, and I was like, I'm fucking cursed. And so I moved back home, and then I came back to Maine. Eventually, I decided to live here for good. And having been in Chicago, when I got to Maine, I was like, my God, there's like nobody doing improv. There was nothing in Bangor. There was nothing down south. It was basically college groups. The only group I knew of was this group in Farmington called the Lounge Chair Pirates, which I knew a girl sort of, with. And so I was like, my God, I got to go see this. And so I went and I was like, oh, improv. Oh, my God. And so I was like, listen, if you ever want me to do a thing, I was so like excited to find it. But then, the focus group up in Bangor wanted to get started, and I was excited to get back there and do stuff. So it was just a number of different things that fell together that I basically was like, I could do comedy in Maine. And it wasn't until 2012 when I sort of did it in earnest, and I started, Capital City Improv. Started in Readfield at the Emporium. We were doing shows, and it was like we started doing free shows. So many people came, they couldn't hear me. So then we eventually had to like move it, and we had to go to the Augusta. It's a place called the Governor Hill Mansion.
Oh yeah.
And
I think that's where I met you.
Might have been.
I was used to work at Kennebec Savings Bank.
Yes.
I think you did a show for us there, and I was like, oh my God, that was fantastic. And I think I met Julie Poulin there without knowing it as well. And then like afterwards, when I got into comedy and got into improv, I was like, wow, you guys look familiar.
Hang on, man. I done seen y'all. And so that's what I started doing. And basically, the bottom line is, like you guys have discovered, I am the one-man operation of Capital City Improv. If any press goes out, it's because of me. Any pictures, any of that stuff, all that stuff. And so, I discovered as a teacher, because I became a teacher in Maine, that I was like, oh my God, I could do more comedy and stuff if I had more time to do comedy stuff, because I didn't want to be a shitty teacher. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Doing, again, spread myself too thin. So that's why in 2019, I decided to quit teaching and do comedy full time. And that was when I started doing more stand-up gigs. That's when I started booking my more comedy gigs. And then, in March, I had to cancel 5 straight engagements. And Leonard was a part of, I think, 2 of those. And so it was just one of those things where I took this job at Cumston Hall for a little bit of security, but it's part-time. And it still gives me time to like write and think about stuff and jot down ideas and think, this would be funny and stuff like that. And, I will get back to doing more comedy stuff without any doubt.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. No, that'll never leave you. I feel like we'll be doing comedy until the day we all die. I mean, once you start doing it and you get the feeling of, even just getting a little bit of a laugh, it's like, okay, I'm good. Let's keep going. Let's keep
Right.
going. Let's see where else we can take this.
It's addictive. And it's just like in Monsters, Inc., when they discovered that the laughter is more powerful than the fear. It's like I tell all my students, I think I've told you that before, Leonard. It's like the laugh is so much more powerful than the fear. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that's why being scared, I feel like on stage is it's like such a better choice to find that joy in common things. And you see that. And I think that'll happen. Yeah.
People always say, sorry. I was going to say, people always say, I'm so nervous getting up and doing comedy. It's like, no. You're not nervous. You're excited. You're excited to get up there.
Yeah, you can't wait.
Feeling is excitement.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I find that when I carry that with me, I sometimes don't have nearly as good performance as if I'm just like, I got this. There's nothing else I can do. Fuck it. I got my little thing. I got my shtick all planned. We'll see how it all works. You know what I mean? And you just trust it. It's hard to trust it. And I think sometimes that's why, like, I still get nervous, but it's also because the sometimes the variables are, we're performing at a VFW hall in, some town that might not have ever seen improv before. And I've done that. Like I did a show at the Legion Hall myself in Winthrop for one of their shows. And it was like, holy moly. And I had old ladies up with me doing games. I had these old men pretending that they were a dog. It was fantastic. and when you're there, when you leave those shows, you think to yourself, that wasn't nearly what I felt like it was going to be. It took me a while to adjust, but they'll be talking about Earl, who played the dog, for the rest of their life.
Right.
Yeah, and it's
so
that
true.
kind of that kind of experience that, like, I love that creation. So, and I have that, and I'm lucky to have that, and I'm pretty lucky to be able to work with good people too. So that's the biggest thing.
I really, really love improv also, and it's amazing, like being in those moments that didn't come from my writing something in my basement. It's like, just like some weird thing that happens on stage, and I'm thinking about it forever. Like the class I wait, did I take both your classes? I took one class with you, and then being able to perform with you on stage, and I was like, and I was like, oh my God, Dennis is like a master at this. This is fantastic. This is incredible how he does this. And like I remember you saying, like, we were on stage and we're like nervous about saying something. He's like, just go and say something, because everyone else is on stage to help everyone else on stage. And so, like, we started doing underground improv again at CVU, and there was one point on stage where no one had anything, and so I just stepped forward and I said the shittiest thing I could say, and it got no laugh, but at least it was like someone else was behind me, and bam, they got a laugh. Like, great, all right, here we go.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And I appreciate that. I'm always learning, and I don't think you ever master this. It's like it's one of those things where the more diverse group of people you play with, I think the better you develop a catalog of relationships. My relationship with you on stage is different than with Amy Rader or Julie Poulin or any of the people that work for Capital City. It's just there's always a personal relationship that you sort of keep. And so I love to play with diverse people. I like to play with different groups. I like to call up, just random audience members and do stuff with them. I do that in a couple different iterations. So it's really, it's the ability to, work with people and sort of understand where people are as soon as you meet them, and just like anything I say, because you have to be able to read the room, and comedians can do that. If you're sensitive, if you're really able to you walk in and you're like, okay, seems like an angry crowd tonight. So let's see what we can, you know what I mean? Or it's like, Jesus, they're eating out of my hand here. So let's get weird, you can read the room, and those skills translate into so many other things. When I meet in politics, I'm a select board member in the town of Readfield. It's that, when you get there, it's like there's a way of communicating, and it's one of those things that you use the same thing. You read the room. As soon as somebody comes up to you, it's like, this person is angry about the taxes, and sure enough, it's like, what is going on? It's like, wow, I knew it. These are not the taxes you're angry about. But it happens, and I think those sorts of things, when you look at the skills set that doing comedy gives you, you don't want to lose it. And the way that you don't lose it is you continue to do comedy. So you'll always do some kind of entertainment. You'll always do some kind of comedy thing. You're going to make the best dad jokes if you don't already, that sort of thing.
Yeah. For the last year, I've been entertaining my kids almost exclusively. And
tough crowd kids.
Tough crowd.
So if you're making them laugh, they don't, you tell a bad joke with them and they're like, that's not funny.
Yeah,
just cold, but beautiful.
They turn and walk away.
Zero. Yeah, that's why I said, doing children's theater is so much harder than doing like normal theater, because if a kid is not interested, they'll look at their teacher and go, "This is boring," and you haven't lived until one of the young audience members, this cherubic little child, looks up and is like, "This is boring." You're like, okay, wait, kid, it gets better.
Yeah. Only 20 more minutes.
I promise you. In a second, I come back as a lion. Okay, it's a good effect. Now sit down and shut up, kitty. No, I'm kidding. Don't tell the kids to shut up. They don't like that. That's hate language. That's angry language.
That's right. As a teacher of what did you teach? Like
English and drama.
Okay, makes sense. That makes
sense.
Go
figure.
Yeah. And now you teach improv. How do you find that, as far as just people coming off the street and saying, "Oh, I want to try doing that"?
I find that the people who come off of the street are generally easier to teach.
Okay.
Because I think they want to make it so that they have a beginner's mind. So when you tell them, what would you, they don't have anything like, well, in my acting class, I was told with emotion, you know what I mean? It's just like, they're very real. And you don't have to worry about their authenticity, right? Because they don't know how to be fake yet.
Right.
With performers teaching improv or stand-up, and I don't say that being ugly, it's just a fact. You have to sometimes find a way inside of your brain to sacrifice saying that one hilarious line that may ruin the scene, but get a huge laugh over, I'm going to cultivate this idea and try to, work together to do it. I know that if I said this, it'd be funny, but it would ruin the scene. It would end it. And all the people who gave me their trust to build this thing will look at me like, oh, fuck you.
That's got to be that's got to be the hardest thing to understand when you're on stage.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all want to be the person that gets that laugh. But it's hard to think I don't want to just be the person that gets the laugh, but I want to be the person that might keep the scene going, to keep building on this thing we've developed.
Yeah, it's like, that's the biggest thing, I feel like. And it's not that's not to say one time I had you don't want us to say anything funny. It's like, no, I want you to say something funny that continues the scene to grow and doesn't kill the scene or kill someone in the scene. So then it's like, okay, well, done, And that's important. And I am as guilty of sometimes, like, because my little 7-year-old child brain gets going, it's like I sometimes do that. And I have to step away and be like, just breathe. You know, I don't have to be in every scene, even though I'm sure you could bring something valuable to every scene, Dennis. You don't need to be in it. and I think about, you know, like we can all make, you know, I can shoot reasonably from the floor. I can, you know, I could, you know, if I were taller and more athletic, I'm sure I could dunk, whatever. They're great shots. They count as 2 points. But when you make the extra pass, you know what I mean? It's like everyone has a stake in it. Everyone has a stake in it.
Oh, that's like something that happened on you know, Doug Birgfeld's podcast Ultra Quiz Plus. I was on there, and at one point I was saying something that wasn't very funny, but like Mike Gray had something that added to it, and then that's where the laugh came. Or Amanda Kinsey said something, and that's where the laugh came. And so I told them, like, yeah, I used to coach youth basketball, and I would tell the kids all the time, all I want are assists. And so I was like, I'm just passing the ball to you. I pass the ball to you. You go ahead and make the points. I just want all the assists. So like, if I say something, yeah.
Dish it off.
Improv is a team sport.
It has to be. It has to be. Or what happens is you again. It's that balance point, right? If you get someone who doesn't want to make a choice, then your shows are not going to be interesting. But if you get somebody who's making all the choices, your shows are going to be overpowered by that person. So it's like that's why improv teams, in my mind, should always practice, weekly practice. Even if you're not doing shows, you should always practice. Be inside of each other's minds a little bit, so that when you get up on the, you know, the theater, it's not happening. You know, it's a the improv show is a window to a continued evolution of your performing relationship.
Right. That's good.
Yep.
Whoa.
I'm dropping wisdom.
Oh my God.
And that's one to grow on.
And the more you know. But yeah, it's true. It's like that's the way you have to get to people to think about it. And sometimes people want to do, oh my God, I'm going to do this funny thing that is like hilarious. And it's like, well, your audiences get smarter too as you do more shows. You know what I mean? And so sometimes they're like, well, you know, we've seen this game. Well, let's change it up a little bit. And then let's make our own game. You know what I mean? Sometimes people are like, I went to the improv website and found, it's like, make up a game that you could have between, you know, like, you know, I've seen people use Cards Against Humanity cards as great ways of getting audience suggestions. So, anyway, yeah. Am I talking about the right thing? Is there something else we need to talk about? Okay.
This is great. We can move on to our Curse to Darkness segment.
I want to do that.
Cool.
I don't know what it is.
So there's a Chinese proverb that goes like, I'd rather light a candle than curse the darkness.
Amen.
And so in opposition to that, we'd like you to curse the darkness. So we'd like you to complain about something that you don't have any plans to fix, anything you want to gripe about. That like, oh, I could put some effort towards fixing this, but yeah, I'm okay where I am.
Can I? Do I get a second? Should I have pre-thought about this?
Yeah,
okay.
You can get a second.
So something that irks me that I can complain about, but have no interest in fixing.
Yeah. Right.
If you can narrow it down to one thing.
God, I know. That's what I'm saying. Does it have to be real, or can it be a trivial, trite piece of ass? What do you prefer?
Either or.
The more trivial, the better.
Yeah.
I have something that I am sick and fucking tired of.
Oh my God.
And I see it all the time. And I think to myself, where are we? Where are we as a people? Why are we doing this? And I'm going to tell you what it is. It's pre-foamed hand soap.
Yes.
I mean, are we at a place where creating lather is no longer, I mean, it's just like a thing where it's like, oh, I'm too tired. My hand, I can't rub them together. It's like we have to pre-lather. I don't want to pre-lather. I want the feeling of like I'm getting it clean. That's the whole point of lather. Is I'm creating the lather. It's proof. It's proof. There's clean here. But once the lather is already there, where's the work? Where's the clean?
We have pre-foam. We have foaming soap in our bathroom right now.
What the fuck is wrong with you? That's why America's children are weak. They never had to make foam. They didn't have to lather. They never had a bar of soap. Did you ever have a bar of soap where you had to rub it on your skin? And you're like, I got to get this lather here, baby. And then you're like, why is my skin so dry? I don't understand this. I got to lather more. I need more lather. But am I going to do anything about it? No. I'll just oh, this is so dumb. This is so dumb.
We're past the point of no return.
Blah, blah, blah. I got pre-lathered. Then I put my hand under it. I don't even have to turn anything on. It starts. Then a fucking blower starts already. It's like I didn't have to work to do anything. I had to hold my dick. That's the only thing I had to do. I just feel like that was what the first thing that came to my mind.
Okay, and so we're not going to write our congressman about that.
No. In fact, I'm sometimes surprised, like where you put your hand under and it's like actual soap. I'm like, that's what I'm talking about. I like this place. I like this place a lot.
This place is fancy.
Yeah. And listen, you want to know. And I'm sorry if you lose some sponsors here, but you know what I think really are the scum of the earth? The people who put the fucking hand sanitizer in the soap dispenser. And it's like, it's not soap. It's not soap. There's nothing. It's like your hands, and you can smell it's a little alcohol. I'm like, it's even worse. Or no soap, and it's just hand sanitizer. It's like, that's not the same as washing your hands. If this last year has taught me anything, that's what it is. So
that's the one thing.
That's the one thing. You got to have soap.
Excellent.
Oh, perfect.
Dennis Price, thank you very much for joining us. This has been a fantastic conversation. A little peek into the world of Dennis Price and improv.
God help us. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you guys very much. I think the state of Maine comedy is very good right now, and yes. I think that there are some things that can happen in terms of taking the next step that I'd like to be a part of. I think you guys will be a part of, but we're gonna make it happen.
Excellent.
I love
that.
All
right.
That's great.
Thank you. Dennis Price, everyone.
Yay!
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
That was Dennis Price, and holy crow, what a funny guy. Sometimes I wonder how a person's brain can constantly come up with smart, witty things to say, and he's an example of that type of person.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to have a chance to chat and laugh with him. I didn't realize how much I missed him. Like Dennis mentioned, you can find him at capitalcityimprov.com and through friendsofcumstonhall.org or through their social media. Whether you're local or not, if you're visiting Maine, that theater is a one of a kind, and you must see it to truly understand what a treasure it is. I'm so glad he's involved with the continued success there.
Agreed. Thank you, Leonard, and thanks to everyone who listened. Tell your friends and follow Comedy Think Tank wherever you can. Be sure to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Find us on Instagram at Comedy Think Tanked, Twitter at Comedy Tanked, and our website, comedythinktanked.com. Email us at comedythinktank@gmail.com. Good day.
Theme music was written and produced by a minor, Ralph Birgfeld. No comedians were hurt in the production of this podcast. All audio snippets of actual funny punchlines were not written or performed by any of us or our subsidiaries. Rather, they are express written bits of professionals we admire. Let the civil actions be filed. Any opinion heard, actual or implied, is that of the Comedy Think Tank producers and their guests. Any slight, Insult, affront, slur, disparaging remark, snub, rebuff, rejection, or spurning, no matter how derogatory, pejorative, or abusive you may feel it is, was not intended, but for comedic, entertaining purposes only. Thanks for listening.
Oh, I'm dropping wisdom, wisdom, wisdom